On a crisp autumn evening, my friend and I found ourselves on a road trip, traversing through the heart of a sleepy countryside, far from the hustle and bustle of the city. With tired eyes and aching limbs, we sought refuge in a quaint and seemingly innocuous motel that stood at the edge of the deserted highway. The dimly lit sign outside flickered with an eerie glow, casting long shadows that danced across the worn-out asphalt. Though the exterior appeared unassuming, the lobby of the motel exuded an air of faded grandeur. The dusty chandelier hung low, its crystals reflecting the dim light from the flickering bulbs. The receptionist, an elderly lady with piercing blue eyes, greeted us with a warm yet slightly distant smile. She handed us the tarnished keys to room 13, which creaked open to reveal a space frozen in time. The room itself was a testament to a bygone era, with faded floral wallpaper peeling at the corners and heavy drapes that did little to mask the dullness of the night. As we settled in, a peculiar odor hung in the air, a strange blend of musty dampness and something more elusive, a faint whiff of decay that seemed to linger at the edge of our senses. Attempting to dispel the unease, we decided to distract ourselves with a light-hearted comedy movie, hoping to lighten the mood. However, as the night deepened, the laughter gave way to an overwhelming stench that seeped through the cracks of our consciousness. It was as though the very essence of the room had been tainted, the pungent aroma of rot infiltrating our senses, causing our stomachs to churn in revulsion. Panic set in, and we quickly dialed the emergency services, their arrival heralded by flashing lights that cut through the dark night. The officers, their expressions masked by a professional stoicism, swept through the motel, their steps muffled by the thick carpeting that lined the hallways. With no immediate source of the putrid smell in sight, they began to question the origins of the noxious scent that hung in the air like a malevolent fog. It was only upon a thorough inspection of each room that their investigation bore fruit, leading them to room 12, adjacent to ours. Behind a closed door lay the discovery that would haunt our memories for years to come. In the dim light cast by their flashlights, the officers stumbled upon the ghastly remains of an elderly woman, her emaciated form sprawled across the worn bed, a haunting tableau frozen in time. The realization that we had spent the night mere inches away from the decaying corpse sent shivers down our spines, the horror of the situation unraveling in the stillness of the night. Questions arose, demanding answers that seemed to elude the grasp of reason. How could an entire motel staff remain oblivious to the presence of death within its walls? Where were the cleaners who were supposed to tend to the rooms, ensuring the upkeep of the establishment? As the investigation unfolded, layers of neglect and a dark history began to surface, revealing a web of negligence and apathy that had shrouded the motel for years. Rumors of a reclusive owner who seldom visited, coupled with tales of unpaid staff and a dwindling stream of guests, painted a grim portrait of an establishment that had long lost its way, consumed by the shadows that clung to its walls. The authorities delved deeper, uncovering a string of unsettling incidents that had been conveniently swept under the rug, the motel's dark secrets spilling forth like a festering wound. Tales of guests who had vanished without a trace, of hushed whispers in the corridors, and of strange occurrences that defied explanation, all woven into the very fabric of the motel's forgotten history. As dawn broke over the horizon, casting a feeble light that struggled to penetrate the shroud of darkness that enveloped the motel, we bid a hasty farewell to the scene of our haunting ordeal. The memories of that fateful night would forever linger, a testament to the sinister undercurrents that lurk beneath the surface of the seemingly innocuous facade. And as we drove away, the image of the desolate motel faded into the distance, yet its legacy of dread and despair remained etched in our minds, a chilling reminder of the motel horror story that would haunt us for the rest of our days. The The evening sky was draped in a thick blanket of darkness, punctuated only by the occasional twinkle of distant stars. The road seemed to stretch on endlessly, swallowing the passing headlights in its unending hunger. As I drove, the steady hum of the engine was the only companion until the realization dawned that my destination was still a considerable distance away. Weariness crept up on me, settling heavily upon my shoulders, urging me to seek respite for the night. It was then that the neon glow of a motel sign flickered into view, its letters glowing with a dull, almost eerie, luminosity. I maneuvered my car into the parking lot, which appeared eerily desolate, with only a scattering of vehicles occupying the empty spaces. Despite the subtle unease prickling at my senses, I mustered the courage to venture closer to the reception. As I approached the entrance, the worn-out facade of the building exuded an air of neglect, hinting at the passage of time. The door creaked as I pushed it open, revealing a dimly lit reception area. A solitary figure sat behind the counter, bathed in the soft glow of the flickering lamp. The old man's withered face cracked into a warm smile as he greeted me with a gravelly voice that seemed to resonate with years of experience. I secured a room for the night and made my way down the empty corridor, the soft glow of the flickering lights casting eerie shadows on the faded wallpaper. The air carried a musty scent, a testament to the neglect that seemed to pervade every corner of the establishment. Despite the unsettling atmosphere, exhaustion overcame any apprehension, coaxing me into the welcoming embrace of the lumpy mattress and scratchy sheets. The night enveloped the room in an impenetrable darkness, broken only by the feeble illumination of the distant streetlights seeping through the tattered curtains. The rhythmic cadence of my breathing was the only sound, until an abrupt jolt of consciousness pulled me from the depths of slumber. My eyes struggled to adjust to the darkness as I discerned a figure looming ominously at the foot of the bed. Panic surged through my veins as I made out the glint of a metallic object in the stranger's hand, unmistakably a gun. A cold sweat broke out across my skin as the intruder's voice sliced through the silence, commanding me to remain silent. My heart raced in my chest as I fumbled to comply with his demands, desperately trying to avoid provoking any violent outburst. His demand for my wallet and keys reverberated through the suffocating stillness, a demand I dared not defy. With trembling hands, I relinquished my belongings, the cold metal of the gun pressing against my temple serving as a grim reminder of the fragility of my existence in that moment. As he pocketed my possessions, the intruder's eyes bore into mine with a malice that sent a shiver down my spine. The metallic click of the door latch signaled his departure, leaving me paralyzed in the aftermath of the harrowing encounter. Time seemed to stand still as I struggled to regain my composure, the adrenaline coursing through my veins heightening my senses to a point of acute awareness. With trembling fingers, I reached for my phone and dialed the emergency services, my voice quivering as I recounted the terrifying events that had unfolded. The subsequent arrival of the police brought with it a faint sense of relief, their presence marking the transition from vulnerability to security. Their investigation uncovered a trail of similar incidents, each one shrouded in the same veil of terror and vulnerability that had enveloped me that fateful night. It became clear that the motel had unwittingly become the hunting ground for a ruthless perpetrator, preying on unsuspecting travelers in the cloak of darkness. The memories of that night remained etched into my consciousness, leaving behind an indelible mark of fear and vulnerability that lingered long after the incident had faded into the annals of the past. The desolate motel, once a mere stop along a long and tiring journey, had transformed into a haunting reminder of the fragility of safety, forever altering my perception of the sanctity of the night. As the wheels of my car crunched over the gravel of the dimly lit parking lot, the old motel loomed before me like a relic from a forgotten era. Its paint was weathered, peeling off in places, revealing the decaying wood beneath. The lone vehicle parked nearby appeared to have seen better days, mirroring the eerie ambience that enveloped the entire place. With a heavy sigh, I gathered my courage and stepped out into the chilly night, tugging my jacket closer around my shivering form. Approaching the entrance, a sense of foreboding enveloped me as the dim, flickering light above the door barely illuminated the worn sign that simply read vacancy. The door creaked open, and I was greeted by the sight of an old lady sitting behind the front desk, her thin, bony fingers tapping softly on the ancient keyboard. Her eyes, as if reflecting the age of the motel itself, held a weariness that seemed to transcend time. She spoke in a feeble voice, "Room for the night?" Despite a creeping unease, the pull of a cheaper rate in comparison to nearby lodgings lured me in. I handed over the cash without a second thought, suppressing the urge to shiver at the icy gaze she cast upon me. She handed me an old, rusty key with a faded number etched onto it and directed me down a long corridor. The hallway was suffocatingly narrow, the wallpaper peeling and the musty scent of neglect hung heavy in the air. With trepidation, I unlocked the door to my room, the lock giving way with an unsettling groan. The room itself was dimly lit, casting long, sinister shadows that seemed to dance and twist across the peeling wallpaper. I tried to shake off the growing sense of discomfort as I settled into the creaky bed, attempting to push away thoughts of the decrepit lock on the door. Sleep eventually found me, but it was a restless one, plagued with the sensation of being watched. I awoke abruptly, a chill running down my spine as my eyes shot open to the sight of the door ajar. Panic surged through my veins as I realized my belongings had been ransacked, my bag and wallet nowhere to be found. My heart pounded in my chest as I frantically checked my pockets, the relief of finding my car keys there almost suffocating in the midst of my fear. With trembling hands, I ventured into the corridor, the early dawn light filtering through the small, dirty windows. The once occupied parking lot now lay barren, devoid of the solitary vehicle that had stood vigil the night before. The old woman was nowhere to be seen, her absence adding an extra layer of chilling mystery to the scene. Anxiety gripped me as I hurriedly reported the incident to the authorities, their skepticism evident as I recounted my bizarre and unsettling night at the dilapidated motel. My mind raced with unanswered questions, the experience leaving me haunted by the sinister enigma that had unfolded in the dead of the night at that desolate, forgotten place.